J.S. Bach, Mozart, Tommaso Albinoni, The Beatles, King Crimson, Genesis, Pink Floyd, Bob Vylan. Bob Vylan, a man who no one outside of Marxist squats in Manchester and migrant social housing had ever heard of until yesterday. And even then, the people within those communities clearly hadn't heard much of him. If you look on Google Trends and you type in Bob Vylan, this guy's been completely irrelevant until he exposed himself for being a very immature anti-white scumbag with a chip on his shoulder the size of the Burj Khalifa. While this might be his first and probably only 15 minutes of fame ever, I'm sure he'll really enjoy going on Politics Joe or some other lefty tripe show. Frankly, this guy has had a positive effect on the world, as he will embolden more anti-whites to expose themselves for their pathetic immature beliefs, and he's also exposed, as I said, his own mindset, his own way of thinking to the rest of the world, and shown the white British, let's refer to them as, what they're up against, and how they really feel about them. Now, firstly, there's something very obvious that needs to be pointed out here. Chanting, you want your country back, you can't have that. You want your country back, shut the up. While in front of a Palestinian flag. Right, I'm sure that this man is actually probably so thick he doesn't detect the irony. I'm sure the midwit white tax cattle who are in the front row, who are chanting along to this song, just not even just to show that, guys, I'm not racist, I'm one of the good whites. So they're like, no, I'm an anti-racist, I'm a super good white. Look how empathetic and altruistic I am, supporting the underdog, supporting the black man as he denigrates my entire racial group for wanting sovereignty. And just to get back on topic, I do support Palestine in the sense that I don't think that any sovereign group of people should be displaced. And I don't support Israel in the sense that them displacing these people is causing them to migrate to the UK, including Israeli ministers who are encouraging them to do such a thing, and including the NGOs from Israel who are helping them, such as Israel Aid. Really a really good ally, by the way, guys. Can we have some more protests where we fly their flags above the Union flag? That would be awesome. Thank you very much. But what this actually does expose is how strong anti-white hatred really is. I think about being back in school, a conversation I had with a girl in an ICT lesson, and I can't remember what prompted her to say this, but she said, oh well, black people can't be racist to white people. And I know this is a very basic key example, but it shows how in the minds of these people, the brainwashed white lefties, the radicalized Africans, these people see everything as a one-way street. It's a power dynamic, you see. You got the white man, and you got the oppressed black man. You got the evil white man who is keeping a brother down, right? So anything that's done to the white man is completely fine. Anything that's done to the black man is always evil, and there's always some sort of power dynamic involved, and there's always some sort of institutionalized racism, and always some sort of cope. This man, from what I could gather, which was not a lot online because no one's heard of him before, I believe him and his other star, both of which go by the name Bobby Vylan, are from Ipswich. And I believe they were born in Ipswich. I don't believe they were born in Jamaica. I believe they're probably second, third, fourth, maybe fifth, who knows, generation migrants. These people were born here. Why isn't this man, instead of being at Glastonbury, why isn't he going to a reform conference? Why isn't this man watching the cricket? You know, well, I'd say, why doesn't he love football? He probably would enjoy football. This is a clear example of how people don't assimilate. And while this man may have done great work to embolden and awaken our people to the truth of how these often second, third, fourth generation immigrants feel about us, he's also going to embolden more of his own people to start acting like how he's acting. Start pushing more anti-white songs. They're going to think, oh, if I just do this new anti-white punk hip-hop song, I'm going to get my 15 minutes of fame like Bob Vylan. And then they're going to wake more people up. And then they're going to get attention. And then there's going to be more anti-white scum who are going to be doing the same thing. And it's going to be a cycle. The true achievement of Bob Vylan is making a great case. A great case for the fact that people who are born here aren't us. They are not British. They don't want to be British. They will ultimately always identify with their own tribal in-group. Say with this man, Bob Vylan, he identifies as a Jamaican. But it goes beyond just identifying as a Jamaican. The quote-unquote marginalised people like to identify along the marginalised, the victim line, so to speak. So that's why you see in America, where all these ICE raids are happening, and the anti-ICE riots and protests, you see Palestinians. It's a shared victim complex among all the other racial groups other than white people. These people see it as us against them. The only people who don't realise this are white people who have still got this civic nationalist fantasy that somehow being born here magically makes you British. Well, I'm sorry guys, you know, not every black person is Trevor Phillips. He is the exception to the rule. When you see a young African guy walking down the street in Hoodrich, and he's got a Gucci little satchel on, which he's got a 3-5 of the devil's lettuce in, right? Do you think this guy is a reform voter? Do you think this guy was being taught by his African parents growing up that you should never be racist to white people and that we're all equal? No. There aren't black households in Namibia where they're being taught don't be racist to white people. It's probably done in some houses in the UK, but it's going to be an extremely rare exception. It's only white people who have this brainwashing. Same in the education system. It is white people who are battered down with all this talk of, oh, well, you know, white people have been racist to black people historically. Guys, look at Stephen Lawrence. We learnt about Stephen Lawrence in school. We never learnt about Chris MacDonald. And if you don't know about Chris MacDonald, learn about him. Disgusting. I won't repeat it here. The main takeaway of this video is, these people are not British. Even if they're born here, they do not identify with us. They see it as an us against them. The oppressive white versus the oppressed non-white. The marginalised minority group versus the authority, so to speak. If these people see it as an us against them, what the indigenous Brits need to do is drop the civic nationalist fantasy that somehow we're all going to get along and we're going to go back to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air days, as Nima Parvini says. It's not happening. This is only going to get worse as people get more and more emboldened. And frankly, unless we start thinking along serious nationalist lines, not civic nationalist lines, we aren't going to get anywhere. Thank you.